Hello, everyone, and welcome to my YouTube channel. So, a pretty interesting and massive development took place just on the eve of President Putin's visit to India. So, the Russian Duma, that's their parliament, ratified the RELOS Strategic Logistical Pact agreement with India. So, now this agreement, my friends, will allow for both countries' armed forces, basically 5 submarines, 10 aircrafts, and 3,000 soldiers each to be deployed in the other country for a period of 5 years. And this tenure can be extended by further 5 years if the host country is willing to do so. So, now, my friends, this is groundbreaking on several levels. Not only does it reaffirm Russia's and India's deep and trustworthy strategic ties, but it also paves the way for several weapons procurement or lease programs, which otherwise would have openly invited Katsa or ire from Washington. So, let us analyze the strategic point of view first of all. So, basically, since the past 200 odd years, the aim, or rather the conflict of the Anglo-Saxon Empire with the Russians has been to prevent them from gaining access to a warm water port. So, hence, the Americans heavily armed and funded the Japanese in 1905 in their war against Russia. And Cold War obviously was an extension of this. That is why India was partitioned and Pakistan was created. That is why there is an aim to regime change Iran today to prevent the Russians from gaining access to the warm waters of the Indian Ocean, the Arabian Sea, and the Bay of Bengal. However, this strategic pact directly links them to India. They can deploy their submarines in Indian waters. And we've basically killed two birds with one stone. Hence, I say India Russia strategic ties are very, very beneficial mutually. Not only has Russia gained access to the much needed warm water ports that it requires, but also India can take Russian nuclear submarines on lease, the Akula class submarines, which otherwise, as I said, would have invited the CATSA Act from America. But under the smoke screen of this agreement, this particular operation can be executed brilliantly, and thus ramping up India's ability to deliver a nuclear strike from under the sea. As you know, these Akula class submarines are equipped with Kalbir class missiles, and these missiles can deploy both conventional as well as nuclear warheads at a range of at least 1,000 to 1,500 kilometers. Nightmare for any enemy of India. Not only that, this ensures security for the INSTC. The trade route linking Russia, Armenia, Iran, and India, starting in St. Petersburg and ending in Mumbai. It passes through a crucial component known as Gwadar. Now, if a future American or Israeli adventure in Iran was to be undertaken, Gwadar would be under heavy amount of fire. The Americans will try to attack Gwadar in light of the renewed commitment by Moscow in INSTC. So then, the presence of nuclear submarines in close vicinity will definitely deter them from doing so. INSTC will be secured. Then you need to look at the eastern trade route between India and Russia, that is the Chennai-Vladivostok trade route. It passes through the Malacca Strait. In fact, even China's 60% trade also passes through this Malacca Strait. So if, let's say, Russian and Indian nuclear submarines are present here, even Chinese adventurism against Indian trade routes or their attempts to block our choke points can be averted. If there is any country on earth that has the power to keep China under check today, it's the Russian Federation. And in fact, we'll discuss Russia-China relationship as well, since the Kremlin spokesperson this week said that the kind of no-limit strategic partnership which Moscow and Beijing enjoy, that courtesy will also be extended to New Delhi now. So these are the geopolitical and strategic implications of this particular treaty. But it gets even better. Now you remember 10 aircrafts. So I'll tell you, my friends, these are not fighter jets. This is not Su-57. Su-57 will come in much bigger numbers. At least 100 pieces will come in order for us to use it effectively. So which aircraft are they talking about? Most likely, what is being discussed here is a long-range strategic bomber. Since we have our C-17 Globemasters for transport, We have our Netra AVAX. Even Netra level 1 and level 2 are being developed. So these are not AVAX or transport aircraft as well. Strategic bomber is something which India does not have. And in comes the White Swan, the Tupolev TU-160 bomber. This is an amazing beast altogether. Just look at the aesthetics. White as ice, like a swan, almost 50 plus feet wingspan, and it's jaw dropping, the largest operational plane on Earth today. It travels at a speed of Mach 2, twice the speed of sound. And the main teeth of this weapon are its weapons carrying capacity. About 17 KH-101 long-range subsonic cruise missiles can be carried in this. This KH-101, my friends, is the best cruise missile of the world. It's not the Tomahawk, but it's the KH-101 which is the best. The range of this beast itself is around 3,000 kilometers, which means if a Tupolev takes off from, let's say, Tambram Air Base in Chennai, it can deliver a deep strike into Lahore. And KH-101 is simply impossible to intercept. This is a missile that can perform evasive maneuvers. It can deploy flares and shafts as countermeasures. This is unique. The Americans have not been able to develop a missile which on its own can deploy these countermeasures, flares and all. So around 8 to 10 of these aircraft will come to lease on India. I'm telling you this right now. You can bookmark this video. You can record it if you want. I can also help you with a tweet I made last night that the only logical weapon system which you fit into this 10 aircraft criteria is the Tu-160. Now, whether it will be loaded with KH-101 or simply India's current supersonic BrahMos missiles, that needs to be seen. But even if it's the latter option, integration can very easily be done. So this is my entire view of this particular agreement so far. With President Putin scheduled to land in New Delhi in just a few hours from now, we'll discuss Su-57 and S-500 in the upcoming videos. That was all for now, my friends. Please like, share and subscribe if you happen to find this video informative. Thank you so much, friends. Jai Hind. Take care.